I feel privileged to have been asked to say a few words about Maxine Archer. I know her as the sister of Stanley and Franklin Wilson, both of whom were my contemporaries, both of whom came from Ross Corner. The family is celebrated by the fact that they were an outstanding family. Della Wilson was an outstanding matriarch of the family, their mother, who was really well known for the work and contribution she made to the development of the straw industry in the Bahamas. I am truly, truly blessed to have been associated with this family, because in my quest for the leadership of the Progressive Liberal Party, Maxine was an incredible supporter of mine. Her sister Brenda lived in my constituency with her children and husband, and they were strong, strong supporters, resolute in their support of me, not just as the Member of Parliament for Centerville, but also in my quest to become Prime Minister of the Bahamas. And finally, Maxine's children, Kevin and Laverne. When I made my efforts to become the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, I looked to the left and they were there, I looked to the right and they were there. They were uncompromising in their commitment to me. And I can tell you this, that as a family, they made a tremendous contribution to the development of our democracy because of the strength of their conviction and the fact that just not only Pinling they supported, but Christie they supported, and Davis they supported, all of whom were Prime Ministers of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. This dear lady was a part of a great family, a defining family, Mr. Franklin, who has become the most prominent member of that family and leader of that family. And I say to her, may God bless you and may you have eternal rest.
Maxine Wilson Archer was simply first and foremost in my life a wonderful sister. She was not the oldest, she was not the youngest, but she was, as a political party would say, solid as a rock. And by solid as a rock, I meant all the things that my mother wanted her daughters to be. Maxine was that. That included an awareness of Christ. It included commitment to family. It included a commitment to hard work. All these types of things. In my own particular life, Mackie was just a tower of support. Tower of support. I'm not surprised that she did not outlive Thompson by much, because there's no doubt in my mind she would have felt that loss very deeply, because her and Thompson were particularly close. I am pleased that she leaves behind two outstanding children. Laverne is truly the answer to any mother's prayer. She just loves her mother. And Kevin is the same on the male side. So Maxine, in a lot of ways, her children became a big part of her life. I'm not surprised that Laverne says that Maxine died literally getting ready or being prepared to go to the straw market, to go to work. That's what Mackie was. And that is really a great summary, a testimony to her values. May she rest in peace.
It was after the 1992 general elections, when the PLP was defeated, that Trevor Wiley created the concept of Bounce Back. In his team were individuals, including the son and the daughter of our deceased sister. They became important to the organization because when you needed a place to meet, it was at their place. When you needed something to eat, they provided. When you needed encouragement, their mother was always there. She was an inspiration because here was a woman who was in a wheelchair, but always had smiles on her face, always encouraging us to keep pushing on, never give up, stand by what you believe in, giving you those encouraging remarks. And when you look at her, you were always inspired, because if she could exist every single day, fighting every single day, then why could we not be equally as strong? We were younger, and we could be the fighters. We saw an emergence of young people all around her and all around this new group. We saw Barbara Cartwright, who is now Secretary General of the Progressive Liberal Party. Chris Simonet, he was there, one of the leaders of the organization. And of course, all of us who thought that one day we could sit in the halls of Parliament. And so today we say farewell to a woman, but a woman who did what she was supposed to do. She made her contribution on this earth. She was not only involved in our tourism industry, but every single day went to work to contribute, to make sure that we could exclaim to the world that it's better in the Bahamas. And so goodbye to her, but we'll never forget, because we stand on her shoulders. We stand on all that she did, the inspiration she provided, the leadership she gave us all, and the love she showed for all of her children's friends. All of us she loved, and she loved dearly. May her soul rest in peace and rise in glory.
Mrs. Maxine Archer was the quintessential Bahamian woman, a woman that exemplified the indomitable Bahamian spirit. And when you see her, just think about a woman committed to family, to country, and to her church. She's from a family of women, like I said, strong women, who, as we think about our history and where we are today, we owe them all, and her, I'm speaking about her today, a tremendous debt of gratitude. Hardworking, the cornerstone of the straw market, from which has come lawyers, doctors, members of parliament, members of cabinet in our country, the bedrock of the community. And I'm telling you what I know, because I can tell you, when my dad was the representative, whatever they said went for him. And the community and building the community was so tremendously important. Those were the days when a community, a village raised a child. A total no-nonsense woman, especially when it came to her family. And I can tell you about her tremendous commitment also to Almighty God, and tremendous contributions that quietly she would have made, not only to her church, but quietly to people. Whenever something needed to get done, she didn't have to boast about it. She just did it. And that's why you see her children, her nieces and nephews, her grandchildren, all just like that. And they will be blessed. And our country is blessed. And I am so honored to be standing on the shoulders of a woman like her, that lent her shoulders and gave many, many words of encouragement to me and many other women who were stepping out, not only into politics, but other areas of leadership in national life. Those are the heroines of our country who have us where we are today. I'd like to say to the entire Archer family and the wider family, as I give my condolences, that thank you for sharing your mom, your sister, your aunt with the entire community. She was a woman who worked hard. She lived a good life. She lived a good Christian life, exemplifying the word love. Exemplifying the word love. May she rest in peace.
To live in hearts we leave behind. is not to die. This quote by Irish Presbyterian minister Thomas Campbell gives us some comfort that our loved ones who have gone on before us remain forever in our hearts, even though they are not physically present with us. Today, I pay tribute to a wonderful, witty, loving, kind, and powerful woman who defied the odds that told her she was a paraplegic and lived a full, meaningful, and productive life. Miss Archer, or Miss Maxine, as she was affectionately called, came from a long line of strong, purpose-driven children, mostly women, from whom the words give up or give in had no meaning. They worked hard to provide a meaningful, enterprising, productive, and God-fearing life for their children, and to help somebody as they traveled along life's highway. I recall clearly when my sister and my mom died in 2018, and I decided to carry on my mother's legacy in the straw market. Really, I was as green as I could be, having not been a part of the straw business since I was a child in Rosin Square. When I was awarded the stall in the Bay Street Market, it was Mrs. Archer and others like her that showed me the ropes and shared some of the different techniques to increase sales. Very often, when there was downtime, I would go over and sit by Mrs. Archer, and we would talk from one thing to the next. Her family, my family, and ultimately, she would always get the conversation to turn to the latest political issue or current event. And I could tell you, Mrs. Archer could remember every tidbit of every event, blow by blow. Many times I could not get away until she saw a potential sale coming. Then she would say, "Go ahead, gal, go make that sale." Mrs. Archer loved and respected her siblings, and coming from a close-knitted family like myself, I really appreciated the love, care, and concern they openly displayed for each other. Whether it was Miss Brenda moving by at her fast pace, or Mrs. Hyler, who sauntered over to feed her beloved sister, or she was just passing by, they were very attentive to her needs. One day I took a photo of Mrs. Hyler feeding Mrs. Archer. It was so beautiful to see the display of tenderness, the love, and the patience. I just had to capture the moment for posterity. As we memorialize our friend and sister, Mrs. Archer, it is notable that she stands tall among the women of her generation who played an integral part in the social, economic, and political revolution that changed the course of history in our nation and opened the door for women to take on more meaningful roles in the development of our country at every level. I could imagine that she was there when straw vendors were called to Parliament Square when the mace was thrown out of the window, or when A.D. Hanna was being taken from Parliament. I could imagine that she was among the vendors who contributed toward the struggle when Clarence Bain came through the market collecting funds for the cause. I could imagine that her name is worthy to be listed on the roll of courageous women who, with no thought to the consequences for themselves, took a stand for freedom and justice that led to the birth of a little island nation called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Quite frankly, many of their histories will never be told, but it is on their shoulders that we all stand today. So today, I pay tribute to Mrs. Archer and to her tenacity as a woman who worked hard to achieve a good life for herself and her family. A woman who touched many lives in meaningful ways. A woman who cared deeply for people, and as we all know, was not afraid to speak out when she felt her rights or theirs were being trampled on. She will surely be missed. When I return to my stall in the market, which is right across from hers, it will really be a difficult task for me not to be able to look across the aisle and see Mrs. Archer in that chair, either right up to the stall or sitting back against the wall and directing traffic from that wheelchair. My family joins me in extending sincere condolences to Mrs. Archer's husband, children, grandchildren, siblings, relatives, and friends. It is my prayer that God will continue to sustain you through this difficult time. May her soul rest in peace and rise in glory.
Over the past few days, as I reflected upon Maxine as my sister-in-law and over the years as someone that I came to admire, I recall the very first time I met her. And, you know, ever since then, she was always somebody who endeared herself to me. I remember almost 50 years ago to this year, when I told her that Franklin and I, or when she found out that Franklin and I were getting married, and her first reaction to me was, this is going to be a good marriage. Y'all are going to be very happy because you're getting married on my birthday. And I always recalled that reaction, and it followed through in my relationship with Maxine. She always wished us the best. She always wanted the best for us. You know, not only did she know it was going to happen, any little contribution that she could make to ensuring that it would happen, she was always ready, willing, and able to give. I would always remember her for her kindness, for her smiles, for her ability and willingness always to just bring happiness and laughter to people around her. I know her family is grieving, but I hope it helps that her memories are just so positive. I think to everybody who knew Maxine, Maxine just always brought a smile, even in her graciousness, because the least that you did for her, I recall just, you know, she liked me to cook soup, she liked my soup, and she made it clear to me that she liked it. And just giving her that, you know, she just made you feel as though it was such a big deal for her. And she was just always so gracious and so kind. And I will always remember her that way. And I trust that her family, her children in particular, would find comfort in memories of love and laughter.
My beloved Maxine Wilson Archer, you were always there for me. During the early years of my marriage, you were there for me. During those evenings, those long evenings, when I went from door to door in the 1987 campaign for the Progressive Liberal Party in the Adelaide constituency. You encouraged me. You believed in me. And as a result, your spirit of support was demonstrated through your children, Laverne, but most especially Kevin, as he led the way every evening, spreading the good news about the Progressive Liberal Party and Alma Adams. We lost that fight by a mere 21 votes. But Sir Lyndon appointed me shortly thereafter to serve in the Senate. And it's because of all of your love and efforts. Today as ambassador, I still stand on your shoulders, Maxine. Thank you, kind woman, warrior, and patriot of our beloved Bahamaland, for the major impact of nation building you always made in my life. Sir Lyndon, I know, is smiling and looking down on you gracefully. May our loving Jesus receive you into his loving and eternal arms. Forever, Alma.
Today it's very surreal as we sit here to celebrate the life of Aunt Maxine, who by all intents and purposes we can all say has lived a good life, and one who has embodied what it means to love family, and to make sure that we are truly our brother's keeper. I think we all consider that Maxine embodied that. This, is a very sobering moment, but it also reminds us that this is a cycle of life. And, and Maxine was the type of person who, always wanted what was best for you. She championed you, she encouraged you, and she had a genuine interest in your well-being. And she will be missed. I had the opportunity to meet her through my wife, who is her niece, and also had the privilege of being a physician. And I would say that it really was a privilege. It was a privilege to take care of her. I thoroughly enjoyed our visits whenever she came to the office, and she certainly pulled a quick one on me, because it was definitely not what I was expecting or that I even anticipated. And so I would say that, with that, and Maxine, God knows best, and I think he determined that it was your time. And so what we will do is we will cherish those memories and the moments that we had with you, and your legacy will live on through your children and your children's children. And I wish you eternal rest.
Hello. This is a sweet and bitter moment. It's sweet because I know where Mommy went, and it's bitter because she's my best friend, and she's been my best friend for many years, all my life I should say. We share a lot. She knows my story, she knows my secret, she knows my hurt, she knows my pain. And I'm gonna miss her dearly. We did so much together. She was my pride, she was my joy. Days before she left, she just started pouring on herself, but I didn't realize what was happening. And she just kept apologizing and saying, Laverne, thanks, because you just dedicated your entire life to me. And I said, Mommy, don't worry about that. I'm happy to do that. She said, no, Laverne, you don't go nowhere, you don't do much. Your life is just evolved around me, making sure that I'm fine, making sure that I'm comfortable, making sure that everything is all right. And I'm gonna miss that. And just having to recap the morning that she would have passed, it was just, unbelievable. And because she called me with such a strong voice, and for her to die moments later, it means that when that trumpet is sound, we must be ready, because she called, I gave her a bath, we talked, we laughed, I made one turn, and when I turned back, it was all over. And so, but I give thanks to the Almighty God for the time that we have spent together, 82 years. She had just said to me that Laverne, and she was convincing me that she has 18 more years to go. But she'll spend those 18 years that she wanted here on earth in eternity. And so, there's so much more that I can share, the love and the joy. We did so much together, going to the market, and as a matter of fact, that Monday, we went into church. Well, it started back from Mantine, was in the hospital, and I just noticed some signs, and and I was away the Friday before she passed, and they had called and let me know what was going on, and she didn't want them to call me, and maybe I just interrupt what was really supposed to happen. I don't know if I have that much power, but it was delayed. I came home, and God gave me the opportunity for her to bless me one more time. And I'm grateful for that. And Mommy, I'm going to miss you. My children are going to miss you. You helped me raise my children, even in your state. Because when I was pregnant with Bernicia, you were wheelchair bound. And you sat up many nights with me here in Nassau. And when I had to be airlifted to Miami, you just shared a moment with me. And she was like your daughter. And you felt like the hurt and the pain, any hurt or pain my children had, you felt it as if it was you. And I am so grateful to be privileged to have a mother like you. Mommy, I love you, I'm gonna miss you. But your last set of advice to me, I will take it, and you will be very proud of me, because I have already started to make that transition into what you advised me to be.
My name is Sharon Martin. And of course, I was hoping that I would never have had to do this ever. But I wish to pay tribute to Aunt Maxine. I call her Aunt Maxine. She was Mrs. Archer first. But when you're around the Hyler kids and the Wilson children and everybody saying Aunt this and that, and you've been around for over 40-something years, you just actually blend in as Aunt. And so she's Aunt Maxine to me as well. And she came into my life through Laverne, and Laverne is such a dedicated child, such a dedicated daughter. I know this is a real blow to her, losing her best friend. But nevertheless, she is, if you met her before she was in the wheelchair, and when they would travel to Miami, and I lived in South Florida, so I would drive down and meet up with them, and we're going to all the jaunts, we're going to all the places that they shop for to go to the straw market. And so I felt so privileged to be amongst them, because these were truly historian women. And she was feisty. She was full of fun. She liked to say jokes, and those Seinfeld jokes that you don't realize that somebody actually said, and you go, yeah, she said it was a joke. She meant it as a joke. But she was just really, really a very vocal person. She was not taking no for an answer. That was not her style. She was, if you said no, go and find, did you speak to, kind of stuff. So I'm going to truly miss her. I have a special bond with her than anyone else in the entire world, because something happened when they left me with her many years ago. And I'm telling you that that special thing that happened, I of course I can't say publicly, but Laverne knows what it is, and Kevin knows what it is. But that bonded us, that made us. She was very special to me. She was Aunt Maxine. She was Laverne's mom. She was, I knew what was going on in that household. She knew what was, this is the amazing thing. She would be in her bedroom and she could tell you what was going on in the living room. I don't know. I just don't understand how she did it, but she did it. It was just uncanny. That you'd be like, how we're outside? How she know what we're doing outside? But she did. And so it is with deep sorrow that I sit here today, but it is still with a sense of joy knowing that she's free from that wheelchair. That wheelchair did keep her mind and her mentality and her vigor and life from ebbing, It didn't. She just pushed. Like, she wanted to go to the market. She wanted to this. She wanted to that. She wanted to go to her PLP meetings. She was doing it. It's convention. Her and her sisters, they are in that room. You could hear them squawking. Yes, that's what they would do. They were just full of laughter and life. And they would come away with this sense of, we did it. That's the Wilson girls, and she was truly a Wilson girl. She was to her core a Wilson girl, but she was so dedicated to the love of her life and so dedicated to her being an archer and allowing her children to know who they were. I will miss you, Aunt Maxine. May God rest your soul in eternal peace.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Small, the acting president of the Straw Businessperson Society. Indeed, it's my pleasure to be here this morning to attend this memorial service. And not only that, one of our iconic figures in the market has gone home. One thing I can say about Aunt Maxine, as she was affectionately called by many of the older vendors or the vendors who have been around, the Wilson sisters, for a long time, is that she was a compassionate person. She knew our mother very well. And anytime she would see me, she'd say, "How is my girl Muggy?" That was one of our passing moments. Anytime she would see me, my mom had resided home while she and Maxine was still in the straw market. I was so impressed with her endurance and the spirit of her wanting to always be a part of the market. And so it's my pleasure today to know that I have been affiliated with the Wilson sisters, especially Aunt Maxine, where she really contributed to the straw industry, and I am grateful and thankful to God for that. God bless this family. God bless the Wilson sisters for the valuable contributions that they have made in the straw industry.
Lottie Maxine was a pillar of strength. She was courageous. She was fearless. She was a person that had fortitude. She knew how to persevere. You know, when I look at her, I gain strength. She always gave us encouraging words. And I can never forget the time when Lottie Maxine told me that she was not able to make it to work on the particular prayer meeting day. And she said she missed the prayer meeting. She only wanted to come to work because of the prayer meeting. So she was a God-fearing woman. She loved the Lord with all of her heart. She was a counselor. She enjoyed counseling us and leading us in the right direction. I thank God for her especially. I could remember a time when I went and checked for her and I said, "Gotti, did you have lunch yet? Do you want me to go and get your lunch?" Gotti said to me, "No, say, Warren already gave me a sandwich, so I don't need any lunch. She was a person who was independent, and she did not let her disability got her down. So I say to the family, our deepest condolence from my family to yours, and from the Unity Fellowship Prayer Band in the Bay Street Straw Market, my deepest condolence. May God bless, keep and strengthen each and every one of you.
Condolences to the entire Archer family. Laverne and Kevin, just continue to be strong. You did a good job for your mom. Words cannot explain the love I had for her, and I'm really going to miss her. She always asked me how the kids doing, take care of my children, be good, and encouraging words. She was very encouraging to me. Laverne and Kevin, you'll be strong. After you have done all you can for your mommy, all I can encourage you to do is stay strong. Miss Archer, I'm going to miss you.
Growing up in the market, I've known Miss Archer for many, many years from a little girl. That was Grammy right there. Boy, when you have spare time, you might as well just stop and talk and say, hey, how you doing, Miss Archer? Or be in a conversation. Because guess what? She can stop you anyway. She can say, hey, girl, you passing me straight like that? Man, she can say, will you look sexy today? Or, girl, that dress too short today. I used to laugh. She was a sweet soul. She was that type person. She always will tell you, if you do anything for her, she will let you know. I really, really appreciate that. I used to go home, I used to say, Mommy, for someone to tell you 3 times, I really, really, really appreciate that. She really appreciates whatever you do for her. Man, she was a sweet soul. Rest in peace, Grammy Archer.
Hello, I know Maxine Wilson Archer for just about all my life. Because when I were in Cat Island and I came down on mail boats and things like that, I would see Maxine, and this is like in the early 60s. Yes, they would be through the market range, her and her sister Margaret and Brenda and Dot and Telsey, they'll be selling the 2-shilling shopping bag. And I knew her from then, and since then we became good friends, because I came into Nassau at the early part of the 50s, and I met her then, and I knew her more when in the market selling the 2-shilling baskets, and I became closer to her after the market burned down. And she, well, of course, she had 2 children, Kevin and Laverne, and since then we became close friends, and we would eat lunch together. I remember hiding shop through the market street range, that little shop where we would go and have lunch together. We would go and buy our slam bam, like you would call it, the lunch town, and we would share lunch together. And she was a beautiful person, inside and out. She would give you anything she had, and she was just a lovely person, beautiful person, and she was always my friend. And there were times when I went away and I would tell her, I'm going away, and she would say, Marinette, don't stay too long because I would miss you, very much. And, I would say, well, Mackie, I'm not going to stay too long. I'm just staying for about 2 weeks or something like that. I'm going to miss her very, very much, because in the morning when I go out town, she would be sitting in that armchair and she would say, Marinette, and I would pass and hail her. I mourned with Joel because I loved her very much, and she was just like a sister, and I would say condolences to all of you all, and may her soul rest in peace.
Boy, I remember Maxine. My good friend always had a story. And before the stories end, my Vern, my Kevin, Junior, and St. Barnabas was always in the story. We grew up round the market as children. Outside of the market, on the side, Maxine sold. When I first met Maxine, Maxine was selling school baskets. And she would come out with so many school baskets already sewn up on their hand. And during that time, everybody frequent downtown because downtown was the #1 spot. So as we grow older, got married, Maxine went to Abaco with her husband. And then she came back with her children, Kevin and Laverne. She will always refer to Laverne as my Vern. And I always say, Maxine, but Kevin, Charlie's man. She will always tell me that. And do you know, when Maxine came back, she didn't have a shop no more. Because we were done, married and everything. She didn't have no place. She had a sister named Thompson, and they were always close. And Telly went and got something off every one of her sister's shop and made a shop for Maxine in the exchange door, because another one vendor was in the door, by the door. So Mark Thompson make a shop for Maxine on the other side of the door. And she would always look out for her Marky Mark. They always called one another Tello and Marky Mark. They were always together like one piece in a pod. So all I can tell you is, my good friend, she worked hard. And she was always in the market from that day she came from Abaco. She was there. And she was always telling the children about how to behave yourself, do this, do that. She always had counseling to do. So the people used to tell her, say, Marky, stop from talking. The Marky said, what's wrong with that? And you know something, while we were growing up, we always gave off signals. In the market, if you come, it was a wink. If someone come in, no one knew our secrets. We had our secret. So if someone come in, you would wink, or you wipe your mouth, or turn your eye, or cut your eye. That was the market signals with our ladies out there. We always call ourselves the ladies we on the galley. That means we working from morning till night. So we could give our children a good education. And that's what we did. Because we always say, Mom, we didn't want them to wait from 5 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock in the night. We got to give them an education so they could get a good start. We work hard. We don't want this for our kids. So that is what she was always into. Working hard and talking to younger people, telling them how she come up and how hard it was and how they used to have to sew all of these baskets and have them ready for when school going to open up. So we came from a very, very far, far way. So thank God for Jesus. Marky, go home and take your rest. We love you, but Jesus loves you best. You fought hard. And the fight was hard. So I thank God for her. May her soul rest in peace.